Kellie Lee.
Present.
We know.
You know, I just get home from the gym.
Only because we seen you in person and actually seen the results. Do I? What is the reason why that excuse is valid?
See? Right, my little salads, they work.
Yep.
Eating brisket and broccoli.
I'm gonna have to get on the Kellie Lee meal plan and workout plan.
Today I done had 2 Chick-fil-A biscuits. I'm eating brisket and broccoli. Today
Sounds good. Sounds good to me.
I got a little vodka cranberry.
Like, that's part of my problem right now. I have water and chocolate muffins in my house.
Right.
It's like all the food that I have, period, is water and chocolate muffins. Like, I haven't gone to the store yet. I don't even have my spices in the house yet. I still gotta get that from my grandma's house.
Grandma's hands. Ain't that the name? Ain't that the song, girl? It's hands.
Now I don't know all the words now.
I'm saying, is it grandma's hands or grandma's hands? What is it?
Not the pans.
I'm cooking with grandma's pants.
What is
Where Terry Weeze at?
Ooh. So yes, Janessa, I have your ring light. I figured that you were moving and wasn't gonna realize it till right now.
Amen.
Basically.
But it's in the same place you left it.
I'm gonna try to swing by this weekend.
What side of town do you live on? Well, I guess you don't want to say that while we're recording. Well, what side of town do you live on?
Here, I'll text it to you.
Okay. We ain't got to tell our 500 million followers. They may pull up. Terry Wayne.
Yo. I was here the whole time. I was just listening till everybody got settled in.
We saw your screen. We didn't think you weren't here.
I heard what you said about me.
We just happy to see your face, man.
Mm-hmm. Well, look how crazy my hair look now.
So we have a topic for today already?
Yeah. We're going to go on and do Janessa's little giddy up.
Mm-hmm.
Little giddy up. I would suggest, I know we don't watch any of the other episodes, but the one from the breakfast will be up next week. So, yeah, that'll be a good one to check out. If not,
how does it look?
Wonderful.
Does it? I don't know if I believe Rudy.
I know it does. It does. I wouldn't be suggesting for you to watch it if I thought.
Okay.
I'd be like, y'all, we probably need to record 2 tonight. That last one did not cut it.
Good. So Jay did a good job. Shout out to Jay.
Does Jay do like film for real, or was he just?
He's just always my impromptu cameraman when I'm like, hey Jay, I know you here for comedy, but hey, while you here, hey, hold this real quick and film this. And then he just do it just out of friendship. That's it. He don't do shit with film. So.
Hold on, I was looking crazy. I had to come back to your desk.
I know. The gym. We get it. You got to look fit, got to look snatched. Do you do a bunch of squats? I see women doing that.
I hate squats.
Nothing happens.
I really hate squats. And my trainer always gets on me because even after months of training, my form is still terrible because I don't like them.
So you just
they make booty big.
The form.
Yep. That's what I get in trouble for. Form on my squats every week. I hate them.
That's wonderful.
But you said you see women doing squats and their booty still small?
or just already big. Like I've never really seen it change anything per se. You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen women do them for like months, like going to the same gym or whatever. Like especially when I was in the military. I don't know. Maybe it's a maintaining thing. Like you got to get to what you want and then use that to.
And you got to do more than just squats.
Right. It definitely wasn't a. You know, it was like if anybody's getting curves or whatever, it's definitely not from
squats.
Squats alone. Right?
Just
man cannot eat off bread alone.
A woman cannot go a booty off squats alone.
You feel me? And on that note, boom shaka to the locker.
Top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Worst Ones podcast. My name is Rudy Wilson. We got Terry Wayne, Janessa, Rowland, Kellie Lee. We are all PKs, preachers' kids. Our fathers are pastors, preachers. Terry, you are on mute. We don't know what you're saying.
I said, well, we don't have Kellie Lee yet.
We don't have Kellie Lee yet, but we have her anointed background. It is a picture of...
Not her anointed.
Those home good pictures, they carry the grace of God.
It's a picture of real life. When Lucifer smoked a blunt right before he got kicked out of heaven.
Wait, what?
I don't know. He went off on his own on that.
That's what got him kicked out. They thought it was something else. They were like, "No, you smoking weed in heaven? Get your ass out." All right.
Okay. All right.
Well, Kellie, since you're the least occupied right now, how you doing right now?
Hold on.
There you go.
I'm doing phenomenal. Can't complain. Had a wonderful weekend. The best weekend, the best Saturday ever. With
really?
my
What'd you do?
family. So Terry Wayne cooked brunch in the kitchen, delicious. I ate it Sunday as well. Had some more biscuits and gravy, grits, eggs on Sunday. So thank you. Had a little more mimosa.
House rules, you get to keep the leftovers.
Right, exactly. Had a little more champagne and orange juice for a little mimosa. Thank you. But no, had a great time. We met for the first time all together in one place. So amazing time doing that. And then the comedy show was funny, was fun, was such a great time. Got a chance to see Rudy and Terry in ministry.
If it wasn't funny, would you tell the truth? Would you actually be like, "Yo, that shit was trash"?
Not on camera. I wouldn't do that to you on camera.
Gotcha. So I actually did once we pushed out.
Yeah, we're going to talk after this.
Gotcha.
But great time. Like I said, great weekend. Started a great week. As you guys know, well, you may not know, I'm a school psychologist, and this week is School Psychologist Awareness Week. And my team at my elementary school today surprised me with breakfast. They got me flowers, with money.
Damn.
You said I'm what?
You just a breakfast eating ass motherfucker. You eating tender shit for 3 days. You going to school, getting no breakfast. Lord have mercy.
Then I ate
the epitome of brunch.
Then they gave me Chick-fil-A biscuits. I took an extra one for lunch.
Lord have mercy.
So I've been eating well. So forget those salads. I've been eating real well this week.
This episode is sponsored by Betty Crocker.
Right.
Aunt Jemima, whoever. Kellogg's.
Right. So, but yeah, so I can't complain. Like I said, great weekend, great hanging out with you all. We have to do it again soon. I feel like we need it every week now. Maybe a little much, but yeah, so I can't complain. I'm doing wonderfully. Absolutely.
Gotcha. Janessa, what's popping?
Just trying to make it, still moving. Working, grad schooling, podcasting, everything Kelly said. Times 1,000. Had a great weekend with y'all. Pastor's anniversary was cool.
Oh yeah.
So happy 21st. Happy 21st pastoral anniversary, Pastor Rowland and First Lady Rowland. Huh?
Absolutely. I just said, oh, Dexter Senior.
Yes, Pastor
Bishop
Rowland.
and doctor.
And then later that evening, I went to the Maverick City music concert, and it was amazing.
And what does that consist of? Who performs at that or whatever? What is
So this is the way I like to describe Maverick City music. They are the Wu-Tang of gospel. It's like they have songs collectively, but then they also individually have, their records or whatever.
Do
So
they
Maverick
also protect
City-
their neck, though?
Mavericks? I'm sorry, what you saying?
I said, do they also protect their neck as well?
I'm sure with the breastplate of righteousness. I'm sure.
So Maverick City is the name of the gospel group?
Yeah, it's called
Oh.
Maverick City Music. It's them as a collective.
Gotcha. I'm okay. I'm thinking this was like that's the name of like a concert like Coachella or something. Like I didn't realize this was like okay. I got you. I'm trying.
Yeah. So sold out concert. It was the last night of the tour, so they had a lot of special guests. Travis Green.
I don't know.
Well, Lecrae opened, and it was Travis Green. Oh, dang. Corey Ashbury, and it was somebody else. Oh, Israel Houghton. So yeah, it was really good.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I don't know who any of those people are.
I knew 2 out of the 4. 2 out of the 4.
Definitely look them up. It's kind of like CCM meets gospel.
I mean, to be fair, they don't know me and Terry either, so it's fair.
Yeah.
They don't know me and Terry either, so it's fair. Sure.
I don't listen to a whole lot of gospel rap.
Well, no, those weren't all gospel rap artists.
Oh,
Gospel.
Gospel artists in general.
Mhm.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
The last gospel rap
that was
group
racist.
I knew was Fresh Fish.
That was
Was
racist.
who?
Yeah, it was like
It was a group called Fresh Fish. It was very popular in the 90s.
Fresh Fish.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
And it was just as cheesy as you might imagine.
I mean, I get it though. The fish especially if it's crispy, fresh. I mean, I get it.
People were fresh back then.
I get what they were trying to do.
I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, they were on
Like, I
fleek,
get it.
but
get
fresh.
I get what they were aiming at.
Uh-huh.
Miss big time, but definitely get what they was aiming at. Definitely. Well, anyways, Terry, how you doing, sir?
It was good. I'm doing well. I had a great weekend too. It was exhausting cooking for y'all, but I feel like it was reparations, so I did something good.
There you go.
That's my look. That's all I can do.
There you go.
Make up for it, you know.
There you go.
It was a very long drive. It was a very long drive back. My girlfriend was there, and she was a trooper about the whole thing because we didn't even get to do the stuff that she wanted to do. So, well, she likes botanical gardens, but it was too cold for that. Her words, not mine. Then we tried to go to the aquarium, couldn't get tickets on time, and blah blah blah. So about the only Atlantean thing that she got to do was go to the varsity.
What did she think about it?
She thought it was good. She was apprehensive at first. She doesn't even like mustard, but I'm like, just try one of their chili dogs with mustard on it.
Yes.
It's and she's like, that actually does work really well. And I was like, I know, right?
I like the chili slaw dogs.
I like the slaw dogs too, but she tried the chili cheeseburger and really liked that.
Did she get any of like the peach pie?
We got sweet potato actually because they got it back now. So.
Gotcha.
How was that? I've never had their pies.
Their pies are really good.
They're good.
They're so flaky they fall apart. It's almost messy to eat because the warmth from your fingers kind of melts all the sugar and starts falling apart if you don't eat it fast. But No, I did the whole round. We got the fries and the onion rings and the what do they call it? The frozen orange.
The varsity
drink.
orange or the frost. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but the frosted one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, we didn't get to do anything else. So
when did you guys do that?
Huh?
When did you do that? Sunday?
Oh, yeah, we had it for lunch before we left.
Okay.
Y'all didn't go hit the aquarium?
We tried to on Saturday, but apparently you have to buy your tickets ahead of time because they go in groups. So by the time we got there, the only tickets were for the 5 o'clock group, and we couldn't have done both. Could have done that and the show. So
they chose the show.
Of course, I'm a professional.
She is a trooper.
Mm-hmm.
I liked her. Keep her.
Yeah, that's what people tell me.
I like her.
I
like Chris too. I like them both. I approve, if that matters any.
Oh, you like my Chris?
It doesn't at all.
But
I didn't know there
Chris,
was another.
I really like Chris too. I thought he was very funny. He sat there, he watched the whole recording. He was laughing, cutting up. Yeah. Seemed like a good dude.
Oh, I have to tell him that y'all like him.
We do. We do.
Just force him to watch this podcast to get another view so you can see him.
Yeah, he's a viewer. We got to be nice to him.
He's a subscriber.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, subscriber.
He's a follower.
Well, I definitely enjoyed the weekend. I appreciate the travel from you, Terry. I appreciate the hospitality from you, Kelly, and I appreciate the sacrifice from you, Janessa.
Come on with a word.
Okay.
Kelly's about to testify.
Come on, he has something for everybody.
Yeah, I do. It means a lot to me. Like I'm a real teamwork type of person. Like as much as I am a loner in my personal life, when it comes down to doing things, I'd much rather collab and be in the presence of people. And we were able to do that. Even with all the obstacles or anything that just had to happen. So yeah, and I feel like that's even a testament to why we've made it a year, because we've always found a way to keep this shit going. So. Food was good, Terry. Terry, he is one, I guess, white man who can cook. Guys, give him a lot of applause for that.
Really, I honestly feel like it wasn't my best showing, just because the timing was all off. So some stuff was cold and other stuff was hot.
It has nothing to do with the temperature. I mean, it's just even just the flavoring. I mean,
Terry, you can come to the cookout. Okay.
To me, it is about temperature, because in the industry we say warmth is a flavor.
Right. But I'm a nigga, so I be just eating shit. You know what I'm saying? Just out there.
And give you know what? Let's give some props to Jay too, because he sat there the whole time with a full plate and couldn't eat because he was recording. He was recording and he was ready. He was like, he was so hyped about it. And he just had to sit there like a dog when you hold a treat up, and he's like, "Come on." And all he could do was, well, thank you, Jay, for recording that for us. I could see the pained expression on your face the entire time.
When you're as close as friends as that with me, you got to be able to bite that bullet.
I think anybody that's friends with you pretty much is expecting, to at least be put out.
You know what I'm saying? But it's definitely coming, both ways though. Like you definitely can inconvenience me whenever, but believe I definitely, because I'm such a on the fly person. He didn't know he was doing that. He just knew he was staying there, and I was like I'm talking with Kelly. But when I was like, oh, and Jay here, he can just, he don't even know that. I'm just like, oh, Jay here, he can. I'm like, hey, bro, grab that camera real quick.
You couldn't find a stand or something,
bro.
He did. Hey man, you supposed to be recording right now. You missing the break.
It's not his first rodeo. Trust me.
I understand that the B-roll footage that you guys were taking of us hanging out and cooking and all that, but just the whole podcast, we could have just sat that up on something.
Nah, because I had certain movements I needed him to make or hold or just.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Was he interrupting your vision? Is that?
Yep.
They did a whole setup beforehand.
Kelly tried to interrupt my vision too. I had to tell her, oh, we need this table, this set, and she trying to make it where she's sitting at now. What about
I'm sorry, Scorsese. I didn't know.
No,
so important to you.
I'm giving you bad wigs and all.
Rudy appears to be so laid back. He's so laid back about some things where it's so nonchalant he doesn't care. But when it's something that Rudy cares about, it's a nah, we're gonna do it this way.
I'm trying to make the lottery ticket. All right.
Maybe set your sights a little higher.
I'm trying to make the lottery ticket. All right.
But how was your birthday? Your birthday was this weekend. You celebrated that as well. How was that?
Well, yeah. What I did with y'all in the show and all that was pretty much the bulk of it. Even though that was the day before. The day of, I walked up Stone Mountain at about 6:50 something in the morning.
Oh, guess you guys didn't go out.
Smoked a couple blunts at the top. Shot a couple skits. And went to Waffle House.
Instagram tells everybody business.
Took my ass straight to sleep.
Did y'all go out Saturday night? Did you after the show?
Because the people who were trying to turn up, they didn't make the trip.
Oh, gotcha.
You know who I really liked at the show was Rudy's mom.
Miss
She
Larnell.
was nice.
Miss Larnell, she is nice.
Yes, she was nice. She came up to me. She's like, "Are you Terry Wayne?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "I watch you all the time. Come here."
My mom is definitely not that country.
And she's like, "Oh."
You gave her this black Southern woman.
She's like, "I like you so much." And I said, "Well, wait."
Oh my god!
I said, "Wait till after this set before you decide whether you like me or not, because things could change."
She didn't hurt her son, honey.
Huh?
I said she didn't hurt Rudy.
She hears, not done heard. Hears.
Right, she hears. And I sit there like, how does she sit here through this? Like,
I think me and Rudy's comedy can divide on certain things. Like, I'm pretty sure he didn't talk about banging an old lady, and
No, he did.
He talked about I said he did.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I had a whole bit about it.
But was it true?
What?
Did you bang an old lady, Rudy?
We'll never know.
Okay, I didn't. If anybody cares to know,
Today's
80-year-old lady with somebody had like an 80-year-old lady, something.
she was 83. Yeah.
That was you.
That was
But no, that I didn't actually have sex with her. But I did. She was following me around, and I did find a large dildo underneath her bathroom sink. Yeah. So it's partly true. It's partly true. Hey man, when you're old, you don't give a shit anymore. Just don't care. The social line of caring stops at like 72. After that, you just like, I don't want to be here anymore.
That's funny.
All righty. So let's do a podcast, guys, shall we?
This is all a podcast.
Feel like we are doing a podcast. It's just a
freaking
aimless podcast.
No, it's cool. No, people enjoy our banter, as the British say, the banter. You have to have good banter. I always feel like I can never do either like a proper Australian or British accent different. I really know the difference.
I can't.
Australian's easy. You just do British and then make it sound dumber.
All right. Here we go.
That's
all right. So today's topic, Janessa, you want to go ahead and lay it on us?
Sure. So while I was scrolling on the Instagram, I came across this post. I'm going to read it. And it's going to tie into the topic for today. Okay. It says, a lot of older church members want to know why there's a massive lack of young people serving in church. You can't spend decades making a generation feel unwelcome and then get upset when they leave to find God on their own terms. You were the harsh gatekeeper of certain ministries. Now you're getting too old to carry out those duties, and you're upset that you chased away the people you were supposed to hand the torch over to. So,
well said.
Today's topic is basically looking at is today's church stuck in the past?
You had to do this for your computer?
Because I don't have my ring light, so I have like another light and it's really bright.
Gotcha.
I should have turned on your ring light.
Like, do you see the difference? Like, it's real bright because I had to finesse it.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm like,
But yeah, is today's church stuck in the past?
gotcha.
But like, what are your thoughts on that? Because I personally think there's some churches that are evolving, and then there are some that are not. But I want to hear y'all's take first.
Kelly?
I don't want to start. Go ahead.
I'll start. It's the same thing. Like you can't spend a child, like you can't have a child and spend their formative years, beating them around, and then complain that now that they're grown, they don't let you see your grandkids. You know what I mean? Like it does. And I have seen that. I've seen that from older church members where it's like, oh, did you see like blah, blah, blah on the internet or whatever? And it's always very judgmental. It's always holier than thou. And you look at these kids and what they're doing. And I think people forget, like, you're going to need those kids eventually. You're going to need the young people eventually. So, treat people right, or they won't treat you right when you need them. It's almost like do unto others.
And that post, Janessa, was it? And I know you just read it and I heard it, but I'd be forgetting.
I was like, can you read it again?
Yeah.
What? Well, go ahead, read. I probably forget.
A lot of older church members want to know why there's a massive lack of young people serving in the church.
Okay, boom. Can we stop right there?
Yes.
You almost like my reader in church. Stop right there. A lot of older people are wondering why there's a massive lack of young people in church, or even in church or participating.
It says serving in church.
Serving in church. Okay, so that means that there's some that's not there, obviously, but then the ones who even are there, they're just there. They're not dancing, singing, playing, praying, whatever. I don't know. I don't know how to ask this, but is this person or whoever who asked, is this like a one person who said this, or is this like a
meme,
a denomination? Because what are they gauging this by? Like, is this like all churches, like Christian churches, Catholic churches, whatever, or is this like,
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the person who posted it, but I don't know.
Well, I'll say this. I definitely noticed, even just from the church that I grew up in, the difference in youth participation and what it is now. And I'm talking about even prior to COVID. I'm talking about when everything was fine. Like there were still youth around, but there wasn't. And then even a lot of the same people who were there when I was a baby. I'm talking about, I ain't talking about just fifth grade. I'm talking about like, they taught me in like kindergarten, first grade, second grade, Sunday school. They're still the youth workers.
Yes. Time to transition on.
Why? But I'm saying, but why has that baton not been passed to people our age who should actually be working with youth? We're still in the loop when it comes down to youth. Our music taste, all that stuff is still similar compared to the people who were adults when I, a 32-year-old man, was a baby. Listen to what I'm saying. Like this is a huge gap. Like they're old school to me. You know what I'm saying? So now think about somebody who's in a generation below me. There's no connection. None. You feel what I'm saying? So I think I don't know who messed up the transition there, but I think that even the serving part, and this is just me speaking from my experience, everybody may have different ones, but I do think it's because the people who are in control and who've still been in control, and not that they've done it purposely, they just may have been continuing to do it because they love it or there's nobody else to do it. But the people who are in control are people who are not connected to the people who will then, I guess, take the reins. And because of that, there's not a smooth transition. And as a result, it just makes young people say, y'all just be old and whatever, and I'll just go either find like one of these more youthful churches who they praise team, they wear backwards hats and shit while they singing. You know what I'm saying? They got lights flashing. You feel me? Like you can go to brunch with some of them after church, and they're gonna drink mimosas. You know what I'm saying? People just gonna find that type of church as opposed to trying to transition the old folk and the people who've been there since I was a baby. I'm done.
Can you continue reading?
Oh.
Read. I'm sorry.
You can't spend decades making a generation feel unwelcome.
Stop right there. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Unwelcome. And then get upset when they leave to find God on their own terms.
I'll give you, I got a good story here. I just remembered it because as we're talking about this, I was a visitor at somebody else's church. Now, I was like 14, right? So we're talking like right in the middle of puberty, awkward as hell, just that 14-year-old kid. Well, anyway, I used to be really sensitive about my appearance when I'd go out. Ladies, I'm sure you can understand that. So I didn't have any option. My hair was all messed up. I didn't have a brush or a comb or anything. I couldn't get it right. I didn't know I was going to church, but somebody just said, "Hey, we're going," because I was visiting a different church. I was hanging out with some other people. So I said, "Well, I got my hat, so I'm just going to throw my hat on." And that was no big deal for us at our church. It was no big deal. But I went to go into I went to go into the service, and a guy stopped me at the door, and he says, "You can't come in here with that hat on." And I said, "What?" I said, "But my hair is a wreck. I'll look like an idiot. Everybody will laugh at me." And he goes, "I don't care. You can't come in here with that hat on." Now, he didn't know me. He didn't know my background or anything like that. But as far as he knows, I'm some kid off the street that just wanted to come in and see what was going on. And immediately he turned me away over the stupidest thing. Now, what do you expect that kid? Do you think that you've now endeared him to your church or to religion? You know what I'm saying? But a lot of the times, the younger you are, the more easily you are dismissed. And I don't think that a lot of these people realize what they're doing while they're doing it. But you're poisoning the well for that person, or at least that's how it felt.
Yes, I feel like it's a catch-22, and the reason why I say that is because I feel like you're absolutely right, and I do agree with you. And I feel like people.
That's a first.
I feel like people can get turned away, right? I feel like people can get turned away from church from the smallest things, and that could deter them and be like, "Oh, get church hurt," or whatever the case may be. But at the same time, and I'm not necessarily saying about the hat in general, but just say about a standard or a rule or anything. I do think that just say a church member, deacon, whoever, does have the obligation almost to say, like, "Hey, I know this is accepted out here." Once again, it's not about the hat. I'm just saying something else. I know this is accepted. I know this is accepted out here, but in here, we don't do that. So, like, if somebody was walking in with a beer can in their hand, you know what I'm saying? Like, "Yo, you can't drink that in here."
Do you know what
Hold on one second. So what I'm saying is, like, I do get that there are times, is what I'm saying, that somebody should speak up. But to the case of your particular, to the point of your particular case, I don't think a hat is that deep. You know what I'm saying? Like, to turn somebody away, for sure. But
I don't care what it is. I don't care what the reason was to be turned away. Here's the problem with that. Here's the problem with the root feeling of where that comes from, is because this wasn't a pastor. This wasn't the head of the church. This was just some guy standing outside of the children's or the young people's room on a Wednesday night.
Right.
I think that people, especially people who start to serve in a church, they kind of get this mentality of like, it belongs to them. And a church shouldn't belong to anyone. Okay? It goes against everything that it stands for and everything we're out there, you're supposed to be out there doing. This doesn't belong to you. This isn't your religion. This isn't even your church. You know what I mean? Even if you own the deed, it's not yours. Do you understand? If you open a church, it's supposed to be for everybody, regardless of what you think of them, regardless of their conduct, regardless of this. You want to judge them personally, go ahead. But you should never, ever, ever turn somebody away from a church for almost any reason. Now, you can go extreme if you want to, and, he just killed 4 people in the parking lot. Okay. I'll give you a great example. When I was a kid, and I mean a young kid, we were living in a parsonage that was attached to the church. This 16-year-old kid that lived across the street, he was getting abused by his father. He had all these problems. He had mental illnesses. And one night he came across the street, went into the sanctuary, and lit the church on fire. And we kind of freaked out because we opened the window. And I mean, the whole church was engulfed in flames. And we're in our little, 2-bedroom nothing that was attached to the church itself. So then all of a sudden smoke started coming into the house and all that. And my sister and my mom were freaking out because they thought my dad was in his office in the sanctuary. And, but come to find out, the cops picked him up almost immediately in the neighborhood, brought him back to the church. And you know what my dad did? He counseled them. He just burned down his church and his house, and he counseled them. And he told them that God didn't hate him and that he forgave him. That's what church is supposed to be. It's a community resource. You don't get tossed out of the hospital because you're wearing a hat or you have a beer can in your hand. Maybe tell them to throw the beer out, but it doesn't matter.
But you can be denied entrance in a store for not wearing a shirt or
this isn't a store. A store belongs to somebody.
Listen to what I'm saying.
Jesus don't belong to you.
Listen to what I'm saying. It's not about Jesus belonging, but I'm saying, like, if you have a rule like you can't smoke cigarettes inside of the building, and somebody walks in, try to walk in the church with a cigarette, I can rightfully say you can't smoke inside. I'm not saying I have to turn them away and say.
No, I get it. And like I said, you can find extreme examples.
But that's not extreme because
that is pretty extreme these days.
But I'm saying, but I can go inside a pool hall and smoke, or I can go inside of a casino and smoke. So if I'm a type of person,
you can't smoke anywhere down here.
But I'm saying, if I'm a type of person where I like to go places where I like to smoke inside, and the church doesn't allow me to do that, a person can.
It's funny you should say that.
A person can tell. A person can correct them without denying them. Is what I'm saying. Like it doesn't have to go to the extreme of saying, "Get away from this church." It just means like, "Yo, while you're inside, you can't smoke." You feel what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. Like even when it comes down to the reason, I think there is a reason to say you can't do this inside of the sanctuary, but that doesn't have to lead to the extreme of saying get all the way away. That's what I'm saying. Right.
You can ask somebody to put their cigarette out, but you can't say you can't come in here. You can't say you can't come in here because you're a smoker.
But no, right. But I'm saying, but if they don't put the cigarette out and still try to walk in, you can deny them from coming in. Is what I'm saying.
Well, sure, because I said again, I think that's an extreme level that you're taking because you're not talking about attitude anymore. You're talking about basic courtesy. Everybody else in the sanctuary, and now you're affecting them. You're affecting the kids in the area. You know what I mean? So that's I don't even think that's an applicable argument.
So let's go back to your hat. So the person at the church told you to take off your hat. Your hair was crazy. You were new to the church.
I was 14, pubescent and awkward. I was afraid of everybody making fun of me.
Did you take off your hat? Did you?
No, I sat and waited in the parking lot for everybody else to.
And you felt like he should have let you in with the hat on.
Yeah, I do. Because, hey, look, if gaining a soul for Jesus is not as important as your dress code, then maybe your priorities are messed up.
So I can see the difference between. So I can see what you're saying, Terry, in terms.
And I never went back to that church again, ever.
And I can definitely see where you're coming from in terms of the difference between smoking a cigarette and in the hat.
My hat wasn't affecting anybody else. This was this puritanical man's idea of enforcing his values on me.
And I think that, I mean, I guess I also understand that there's boundaries when you come into the church. There's rules, there's regulations when you come into the church. Now, this man could have handled the hat situation differently with you. But I also feel like, I don't know. It's hard for me because on one end, I definitely see what you're saying, Terry, in terms of it's church, everyone should be welcome.
Because it didn't belong to him. That's the ultimate thing.
What didn't belong to him?
Church didn't belong to him.
Oh, to him. Right.
That church didn't belong to him. I don't care if his name's on the deed. It still doesn't belong to you.
Right. And I'm sure he's just following the rules of, whoever the pastor is, of the church. The pastor says that there's no hats, the
pastor shouldn't get to decide that.
Which may be true. Which may be true.
It doesn't belong to the pastor. It doesn't belong to the wife. It doesn't belong to the deacons. It doesn't even belong to the person who owns it.
I see where you're going with that. And like I said, and I think to your point, the smoking and the hat are two different things. Because I feel like there's a level of respect, and smoking in the church can be considered a level of disrespect. Again, like I gotta sit next to you and cough and get secondhand smoke and all of this. There's a place of
that affects other people. That was why I thought the hat was a perfect example, because it affected nobody.
Right. It was just a rule that they may have had, or a regulation,
but even if the sanctuary was empty, somebody wouldn't let you do it. Even if it was just you in there, they still wouldn't let you do it because it's a sanctuary. Because of the level of respect. It wouldn't even if it didn't affect anybody.
You don't go into somebody's house and start smoking either,
Right, but I'm saying the sanctuary specifically. Like I think you would get stopped in the sanctuary specifically because of people's outlook on the whole respect factor that Kellie is talking about, even if it was bigger than it affecting people with secondhand smoke.
Because even when you think about like the first thing that came to my mind are people in the military, when they step in, and Rudy, you may be able to, you will definitely be able to, like I said, you'll definitely be able to confirm or deny what I'm saying, but you take your hat, like it's just a sign of respect, and so again, as a 14-year-old young man, I definitely think that the adult in the situation could have handled the situation better for you. And to answer Janessa's question, that is probably one of the reasons why young people aren't serving, or people in general, because people are church hurt for a lot of little things. I expect for the church to understand, right? I'm having a bad hair day. I just want to come and praise the Lord, and you have taken that away from me. And I can see where that could be traumatic. It may not be traumatic for you, but 40, no, you're not that old. 30 years later, 25 years later, you can still recall this incident, pretty clearly. So I definitely feel like it could have been handled in a different way. But I also feel like there's a level of respect that you have for certain spaces.
But how are you ever going to learn that if you don't get to come inside?
Well, I think.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think that's where the person who stopped you could have had a conversation and explained, hey, the sanctuary is something, we consider it very
sanctuary. This was the children's hall or the young adults hall.
Whatever it is. Hey, this is the young adult hall. We consider this very sacred. And in this facility, we do not wear hats. Whatever. I'm just saying he could have explained it to him so that it wasn't just a dismissal, like you can't wear it or be out. Like it wouldn't be dismissive anymore.
How about this?
Allowed you to sit in the parking lot for the service. Like that's ridiculous.
How about this? Well, yeah, I wasn't gonna get laughed at just
because
to satisfy this man's ego.
Maybe the guy would have been like, "Oh, young man, I have a comb and a brush. You can come in my office. We'll get you together."
You know what? That would have been a perfectly reasonable way to handle that. But that guy was a dick.
But that's what I'm saying. You just asked how do we resolve it? Let's
find some. Yeah, I don't think he was up for conversation. let's find some nuance to it then. In the church that I grew up in, they had a church rule. There's no food and no drinks allowed in the sanctuary, regardless of who it is. Could be a first-time visitor. Doesn't matter. If you walk in there with coffee, get it out.
Mm-hmm.
Are you trying to save his soul or your carpet?
Both.
I mean, where are your priorities at? We're supposed to be dealing with right and wrong and the eternal struggle between good and evil and God and Satan. And they're like, well, stay off the Berber, you know, like where are your priorities?
But
I think go ahead. No, I think it's about, and I guess me growing up in church, I learned that the sanctuary, and though I understand it's a building or whatever, is a sacred space. And let me tell you, we did some real out of the box stuff at Berean in terms of music, in terms of dress, in terms of preaching. Like we did some real out of the box. But at the end of the day, it was a place of, it was a sacred space. A place where, like I said, you didn't eat and drink in the sanctuary there other than communion. Now I know churches now where you can go get chicken and waffles, and sugar and grits, in the back. And the first time I experienced it, I was like, oh, people, they got chicken. Like, what's happening?
Did anyone die?
Right. And I wasn't mad at it. I was just like, oh, okay.
They was eating during service?
Yes.
In the sanctuary.
You can go outside in the back.
Yeah.
I mean, in the foyer.
They eat out there though.
No. And you go to get it, and then you bring it into the sanctuary.
Gotcha.
Which was clearly different for you too. Like it was.
Well, yeah, I mean, I ain't never had that in or out the sanctuary.
Well, not only that, but
different. Now, but my thing was, I didn't really have an issue with it, but I also saw how distracting it was.
Very distracting.
And how it took away from the service. Because like you said, you can come in and out at any time and go stand in line and get your coffee, get your candy, get your gummies, get your nuts, get your whatever, and come in. So they can get the chicken and waffles, and I'm looking like
y'all at Boogaloo.
Right. With live entertainment in the back with the praise team and the preacher. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, and again, I didn't mind it. I thought it was very out of the box, very non-traditional, or untraditional. Which one is it?
Both.
Okay. I got me with non-traditional. I'm like, wait, which one is it? But yeah, but I also saw how distracting that was. And I'm like, the service is only an hour and 15 minutes. You can say that afterwards. I can understand those 3-hour services. You try to find you a mint, or something, but I feel like there's respect. Just like there's things that you probably wouldn't do in front of your grandmother, or, whatever that you'll do in front of your friends, or even do in front of your parents. I feel like the sanctuary for me was just taught to be the same type of way. Now I agree that you don't turn people away for whatever it is. And I know that churches turn people away for a lot of crazy things. And I definitely get church hurt. I definitely get being traumatized. I definitely get people not wanting to come back. Forget serving. Like, I'm not even coming back. Serving is a whole other thing. And now when you talk about the pandemic and virtual church, come back for what? And I'm sure there's a lot of people in our age group and younger that to get them back into the church is going to be difficult. Period. Let alone, I'm in the choir. I'm in this ministry. I do this. I do that. No, because now I can go for an hour and 15 minutes on Sunday online, give my little word and be done. So
I think it goes to the heart of what are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to? Are you here to make sure that everyone's respectful, or are you here to save souls? You know what I mean? And to speak about the sanctuary, I don't feel like the sanctuary is sacred. It's a building. Okay. Remember what the scripture says: where 2 or more of you are gathered.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
so God was just as much in your kitchen this weekend on Saturday as
I agree.
As he is in the sanctuary.
Now, I never said that God is only in the sanctuary.
But somehow the sanctuary is special.
I say it's a yes. I mean, but I'm gonna keep with. I think it's a sacred space. It's a place where you go into commune and fellowship with other spiritual people. You receive, and I don't, for that hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, once, twice, 3 times a week. But I'm not saying that space is so special that only God can show up there. Like you said, when 2 or 3, Jesus is in the midst of our podcast right now. Let's add an extra square for Jesus. But I just think
he's got excellent Wi-Fi.
I can get that in there.
But yeah, like I said, but I still feel like there's a level of respect of any place that if this is what they're saying, then this is
so disrespectful people should stay out.
I'm not saying that at all, but just like Janessa said, the guy could have said, "Hey, I got a comb and a brush. Let's see if we can do something with your hair." Definitely don't want you to be embarrassed,
right.
Feel uncomfortable. We don't want that at all,
right.
But we also want to these are the rules of this place, and we want you to respect that as well. Because we also got to teach kids respect.
Who makes the rules, and why is that important to them?
Because just like at school,
they don't own it. Like I said, when you take that mentality of you don't own this, this isn't yours, then how can you possibly?
There's just a level of respect. Just like you can't bring guns and alcohol and drugs into a school building, or pedophiles can't go within certain amount of, feet of kids, or whatever. There's just rules.
As you're reaching now.
No, there's
you're really
rules.
reaching.
There's rules to show. There's rules. And if this
when the kids walk down the hall, they got to walk in line. They can't.
There's plenty of churches in Texas where you can wear your gun into the sanctuary.
Right. And there's plenty of spiritual spaces where you can smoke your cigarettes and wear your hats. Waffles. You just couldn't do it in that space.
Right.
The funny thing is, I had this same conversation with my father 20 years ago, because he was asking my opinion about something, and I said, "Man, if I had my way, I'd put a bar and a smoking section in every sanctuary in the country." Because, because the casinos are full, and the casinos are full because they accommodate. They make people happy regardless of whoever thinks it's disrespectful or not. You don't own this. The idea is to get people inside so you can change them and you can change their mind. And if you are able to do that, then that respect will come naturally. You don't have to enforce it like a bouncer. It should come naturally, because when I was a kid, we had respect for the sanctuary. My mother used to clean it every Saturday, the entire place by herself. We had respect for the sanctuary. We had all those things. And guess what? Women couldn't wear pants in there because of respect, because that's what someone in that organization decided was respectful. So today it's a cigarette, tomorrow it's a hat, then it's your pants on women, and then next thing you know, maybe just no black people. You guys can go have your own church somewhere, because it's too disrespectful. You see the can of worms you're opening? Because if you say it's about respect that you feel needs to be given, now you're judging it on your own yardstick, and that should not be the way it is.
What are you saying, Rudy?
Oh, and I was just saying it's already a bunch of only black churches. But
yeah, and you know what? Every black church my father ever took me to when he'd go around and minister and he'd visit other churches, every single one of them, nobody gave me a second look. Everybody was warm and hospitable, and that's the way it should be.
I mean, yeah, that's us. But I'm saying,
I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty accurate.
But I'm saying, so is the question, should there just be a split in reference to like the churches who have the old school mentality, just let them just be old, and then once again find the church that, like, if you want to eat chicken and waffles and that ain't too distracting for you, or you was already half listening anyways, because whatever, do that. And if it is too distracting, then maybe you find somebody who ain't eating chicken and waffles but also will let you wear your hat.
Maybe you're just poor and you're food insecure and you came there for the food, right? And you came there just to get something to eat. But
they're buying it, I don't think, right?
But now you got their ear. You know what I mean? Now you got them in the door. Now you got their ear.
You're not buying chicken and waffles at church. If it was free.
No. But say, for instance, they were giving them away. The last place that my father preached steadily in a non-missionary way, they would literally give out donuts and coffee and this and that, and everybody freely took them into the sanctuary with them. Or it wasn't a sanctuary; it was like it was up at FAU.
That's way less distracting than chicken and waffles.
But you get the point.
But I don't disagree with what you're saying, Terry. I can
watch a movie and eat chicken and waffles and still follow the movie.
I was in a ministry in Delaware where it was lower income families, would come and of course we had food, stuff that they can take home. Not even stuff, we would cook a meal for them there, but then we also had a partnership with like the local grocery stores and had, food that they could take home. And I agree, that is what brought them there. And they were allowed to eat while we did a service. Definitely out the box, definitely fit that population, definitely, what they needed. I think what the beauty is now is that people can choose kind of where you go to church, so I know with the place with the chicken and waffles, there's some people who are going to say, no, that's too much.
That's what I'm saying.
If it gets them in the door,
I can't, right? But some people are like, oh, I can drink coffee, I can buy chicken and waffles. Hey, this is my type of service.
I love chicken and waffles. And when I was up there, Kelly, if you were like, hey, I'm going to this church serving chicken and waffles, I might come.
Right. And I continued to go. Like I said, I stopped going because of the pandemic, but I continued to go, because the first time I looked but I could never do it because I know for me, like, I'm so engrossed in the chicken and waffles, I didn't miss 15 minutes of the sermon. Same thing with your bar in the church. You give me a bar in the church, I may be drunk before praise and worship is over. Like,
right. See, the way of like a bar or something like that would work is if like it's not like a church service format where somebody got to sit and listen. Like, if you had people who could sit at a bar with a minister and they just get drunk and just talk, that would work because then it's growth happening in that conversation. But if somebody has to then be drunk and then sit back and observe, you know what I'm saying?
Just to put a finer point, just because I don't want to be misconstrued, just to put a finer point on the whole smoking section and bar thing at the church. The idea of that, the idea of that argument that I made to my father, and he ended up loving it. I said, look, churches have this way of just insulating themselves, because you got to dress a certain way, you got to look a certain way, you got to talk a certain way, you got to be a certain way. It's like, are you trying to save people or just have a nice little social club where you can come and everybody thinks the same? Okay. And I ended up telling him, I was like, at the end of the day, church is no place for Christians. Okay. Because what are you going to do? Save each other? No. You should go into the bars. You should go into the strip clubs. If you really believe this and you really want it, you should take people no matter what. Because just like I said, just like a casino looks at the population and says, whatever it takes to get them in the door, I'm going to do it. Because that's all we care about. We just want them in the door. And I would love to see a church that had that same mentality that says, I don't care who this is. I don't care what he's done. I don't care what he looks like. I don't care what he says. Get him in the door. And we'll try our best after that.
But I think that, so to go back to the question, is today's church stuck in the past? Church as a whole, no. Are there churches that are stuck in the past? Yes. But
most of them are Pentecostal.
There are people that are stuck in the past where that aligns with kind of who they are. But I also feel like there are churches that, like you said, whatever to do to bring them in. So whether it's the food, whether it's the strobe light, whether it's the DJ, whether it's the, we're going to have a 6 p.m. service instead of a 11 a.m. service, whether we're going to meet Saturdays at 1 o'clock, or whatever it is. I do think that there are churches that align with, the different values of people now. Because I know that, my grandmother isn't going, she's not going to the church where they eating chicken and waffles in the sanctuary. That's not her. She's not going to the church with the bar in the smoking. that's not her, but the churches that she belongs to, they align with her values and who she is. But I agree. I don't think that just because you're a smoker or just because you're drunk or just because you're a gambler or, or whatever, that you're not invited to the church. But I do understand that, different places, different churches have different, different rules, expectations, wants, whatever. But so overall, to the question, is today's church stuck in the past? Some, yes. And does that impact the younger generation wanting to serve? Most definitely. Because if you're telling me, Rudy, that when you were 8, the same person now 25 4, the same person now 25, 30 years later is still doing youth ministry, they understand nothing about social media and TikTok and and the things that they want to do every day, all of that. No, they're not reaching them. And so when you talk about even that foundation in church and then getting old and wanting to serve, like I didn't get that foundation and wanting to do it because the person, again, my values didn't align with the person's values who was leading me. And so in that instance, definitely stuck in the past.
And it's that, to your point, it's that transition, because there's people who like, and it's not that they didn't do a good job with us as youth when they were over us, but once again, now that once we become adults, it's almost kind of like you see your favorite Disney star now start making adult music or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to try to now see them as an adult. And I think that they don't necessarily see that. They still operate how they've been operating with you while they were bringing you up in the ranks. But there was never a transition of, hey, we phasing out. Y'all need to do X, Y, B, Z, to keep this thing going, but y'all can still do it y'all way. So however y'all generation do things, but because the younger people, the young people would participate if there was the middle person, which is kind of like our generation right now. Like there's a big gap between the people who was there raising us and the people who are there not, now looking at them as grandparents, as opposed to looking at us as just say big brother, big sister. And not that we even have to be a minister or anything, but just working with youth, like doing stuff with youth, taking them, chaperoning conferences, having talks with these girls about whatever, teenage pregnancy, what I'm saying, like all that type of stuff. I think is a thing that could happen, but how do you get our age and the people below us not only there, but then also interested to stick around and even participate in those things?
Well, to me, it just comes down to, it just shows your priorities,
So I wanted to go back. Just wanted to say this real quick, that in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 30, it says, "Ye shall keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord." I think to what everybody was saying there, everybody has their own level of reverence. I think that's what it kind of sums up to. Some people's level of reverence may be no eating, drinking, smoking, no hats, no nothing. But somebody else's reverence may be coffee bar, chicken and waffles, you still good. And so I think it's kind of hard to just say like whose reverence is right or wrong. But I think we just have to know if that's not the fit for you, find the fit that is for you. Hopefully, it would be good that if all churches or all people were just kind enough, didn't be dismissive or rude. And, if it wasn't the right fit, it just wasn't the right fit. But obviously that's not how people work. People are rude. People are dismissive, even in the church. Mm-hmm. So that's one point. The other point, though, that I was going to make, something that I'm kind of seeing now is I don't know about you, Terry, but me, Kelly, and Rudy had really interactive youth ministry experiences growing up. Mm-hmm. And a lot of our peers and our friends, are getting to the age where they're getting married and having kids. And one of the conversations I've been having a lot is, our friends are wanting to put their kids in a similar environment that we grew up in, but that's not in our home churches anymore.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah. It's like the environment we grew up in that was lit is no longer lit. But now we have kids and we want them to have the same upbringing we had. And so now, you know, some of those groups are having to go to other churches that do have like fire youth ministries or couples ministries or, you know, whatever basketball team or whatever it is that person's looking for, because the church we grew up in hasn't quite evolved with the times. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's another aspect, you know, that gets mixed in with everything. Sometimes it is like church hurt and, you know, people being mean and being the gatekeeper or whatever you want to call it. But I also think there's just a level of just not having, you know, just it just not being what you need anymore.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess. I mean, we kind of took a left turn there, but to me, it's just another form of judgment. You know, if you're gonna come in here, you got to follow these rules, walk this line, and it's like it shouldn't be like that. That's just me. It's just my personal.
No. I don't think you're incorrect, but I don't think what you're saying, Terry, necessarily is pinpointed to the separation of youth and old. I mean, because that could be any age dealing with that. Like you could be your age.
It seems to be very much connected, though.
I'm saying, but people of any age deal with not wanting to come to church because of some type of judgment or some type of I can't do this, that, or third. And that does exist with older to younger as well. But I'm saying that isn't, you know, strictly just dealing with this particular.
It seems to be. It seems to be definitely people of a certain demographic are a lot more prone to kind of force their values, and not just religious values. I mean, like social values onto others. And I don't know. I just think that a church should be that one place where no one gets turned away.
I agree.
I think we all agree with that too.
Right. We're not disagreeing with that at all.
Yeah, I think we are. But I guess my thing is we may need to provide you with a resource or some support in transitioning into this place. But definitely not turned away. I agree.
Right.
And there's a way to do it. And it's kind of like Janessa said, there's a way to look at somebody with kindness, because remember, every time you look down on somebody, whether they're trying to come in your church or whether they live in your community, what does it say in the Bible? Whatsoever you do unto the least of them, you do it unto me.
I love the way Janessa and Terry always bring us back with a scripture.
Wrapping it up nice and tight with a bow.
Janessa tell us where it come from. Terry be just spitting. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta watch it.
Well, I'm sorry that I
like it says in the Bible, fried chicken is best served with waffles during service.
Oh gosh!
I'm sorry, y'all can't just remember scriptures. Whatever.
Yeah, most definitely. No, I do think the gap is definitely there, and I don't know what the solution is, but hopefully these old niggas get out the way. No, I'm just kidding. All right.
Okay.
Good time for church announcement.
All right. So thank you to all of our new followers. So we did get some new followers over the weekend. But for all of you who do not follow us yet, please do on Instagram at The Worst Ones PK. As always, thank you to our 500 million. Now thank you to our 500 million 100,000. We love you all. And then of course, if you would like to listen to us, watch us, join in on the fun, on the topic of the conversations, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast, just type in the worst ones podcast, excuse me. And of course, like, share, subscribe, comment, DM us, message us, let us know. We here. Thank you. At Princess Kells 51.
Never gonna stop.
Before he even turned the page.
You can follow me at Melanated Brews for all things coffee, tea, and beer. I did not go anywhere last week because I was moving, but I'm setting up my coffee bar at home, y'all. Got all my espresso machines and, all my different stuff in one place. So I will give you a little behind the scenes. Maybe I'll do that as it comes together. But yeah, anywho, follow me at Melanated Brews for all things coffee, tea, and beer. And then you can follow my personal page at JRihanna _. I'm done.
It's your page.
I'm done.
Why are you asking us?
The end.
Oh, and I didn't get a chance to say this, but today it's a hat. Tomorrow it's a burqa. Would you let somebody in the sanctuary wearing a burqa?
I don't know what that is.
Just think about it. Just for later. At Terry Wayne Comedy on all social media platforms. Our tour, The Wizard of Oz. We're going to be at Villain Theater on November 20th. I'll be headlining that show. So if you're in South Florida, definitely come out. Thank you, Rudy.
What's a burqa?
A burqa is the thing that very strict Muslim women wear.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I know a lot of people that would definitely not like that.
We got the personal page up. Come on, Rudy of all trades. Come on.
Well, my personal page has been open. I just try not
But
to.
you don't publicize it here.
Well, I'm popping already. You know what I'm saying? I got a whole.
That's why mine is private.
I got a whole 2,200 followers.
So then, can we get? Never mind. I'll say afterwards.
No, you ain't. Don't say it now. Anyways, at Rudy of all trades, at the podcast official page. Follow both. Don't. Whatever. All right. We don't need you. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, follow both. And of course, any interested sponsors, holla at us, holla at your boys, holla at your girls, churches, underwear companies, whatever.
Mosques.
We'll do it all.
Sure.
You feel me? I think that about does it, folks. We are the worst ones. This has been our podcast. And I guess we'll just see you guys.
Top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world.